Okay. Okay, so last year I was going to present at Afems and I ended up not being able to. So tell me how it started, Linda.
In 2016, my colleague Tando Giovanni, who was a student in the Department of Literary Studies in English, approached me because I had got some funding and she wanted to have a student colloquium on African feminism. So 2016 was in the midst of student protests and students were asking for new ways of thinking about theory from Africa. And because I'm very interested in feminisms, and I say that with an S, and I came up with the Afems because I think of it, there's no one feminism. So in the African context, I think we should speak about it in terms of African feminism. So I said, no, we'd support her. And so we said we'd have the colloquium in 2017, and it was going to be a small colloquium. And we felt at that point, Tando and myself, that we needed somebody else. And I think she then approached Charlene. I'm not sure how you came to be involved, Charlene.
So Tanda and I were having some conversations, and she was part of a group, Finding Africa, and she wanted to then collaborate on the symposium. And it was just supposed to be this one-day symposium, and we put out this call, and we solicited over 30 papers. And what we wanted to do was then to collaborate with our project, which was Art on Our Mind. And we wanted to have a discussion around creativity, but the entire thing just exploded and became this 2-day symposium with lots of creativities. And Linda came on board as well. And since then, it's just been kind of exploding ever since. And the next year, it became a full-on conference. And we had over 90 presentations, paper presentations. It became a 3-day conference. And this year, right now, we're sitting with over 136 paper presentations and a whole lot of other kinds of creative presentations, including playback performances and book launches and stuff.
So yes, and in terms of my project, it's the Urban Connections in African Popular Imaginaries. And again, it's a project that looks at African, it was more about African literature, popular African culture, but it was a good way for us to start thinking about theories from Africa and African feminism in particular. And so, yes, we've had 2 conferences so far. And it started at Rhodes University because Charlene and I were at Rhodes University. So the last 2 conferences were at Rhodes University. But Charlene has a broader plan for African feminism. We want it to be something that's hosted by different universities, and hopefully at some point, we hope it will be hosted in another country in other countries on the continent. So it's just the beginnings of African feminism, and every year we've seen it grow in terms of the participation. So this year, which is 2019, we decided, since Charlene had moved to Wits University, and since it is in line with where we want to move the conference, we decided we will host it at Wits University. And that's how you're now involved. Mm-hmm. Tea and dinner.